Today we will take a look at the first near-death experience in our series. Exceptional experience. Will S. NDE. July 6, 2024. Background information. Gender, male. Date the NDE occurred, May 16, 2024. In early 2024, I scheduled a minimally invasive elective surgery to have a lipoma on my back removed. Being in good physical condition, I completed my pre-op screenings without any issues. On the morning of my surgery, May 16, 2024, I met briefly with my anesthesiologist to discuss the most viable option of sedation. Together, we agreed on general anesthesia due to the size of the tumor. I had an IV administered, and before long was wheeled into the operating room. I was placed on a surprisingly narrow and rather uncomfortable operating table. I recall the anesthesiologist standing behind me at the head of my bed and stating that he was going to begin the sedation process. I remember him asking me if I felt anything yet. He said, "Like you're a little bit drunk?" I replied, "Nah, I don't really feel any different. Well, maybe a little." Next thing I know, I'm up by the ceiling of the operating room, gazing down at a chaotic, profanity-filled scene. I suddenly feel myself being pulled dramatically upward. It felt similar to the rebound of a bungee jump. I then immediately entered a tunnel-like structure that was 10, maybe 15 feet in diameter. I began drifting through the tunnel at an increasing rate of speed. The walls of the tunnel were a dark brownish black in color, yet they had a somewhat transparent quality. There were twists and turns and angled upward for the most part at approximately a 45-degree angle. It felt like I was speeding along at around Mach 2. Periodically, I was able to see out the left side of the tunnel. There were beautiful, mystical, and otherworldly pale pink, almost clear orbs of light. They were traveling slowly in the opposite direction that I was traveling. All of a sudden, I was out of the tunnel. My speed slowed significantly down, and I was in an expansive, star-studded realm. I could see in every direction at once, spherical vision. I was able to see in every direction simultaneously, including behind me. The stars were abundant and remarkably vibrant. Off to my left, I saw a light in the distance. At first, it appeared to be moving slowly towards me. Then I was suddenly being drawn towards it. In an instant, it was fairly close to me and began to intensely glow like burning magnesium, only 10 times brighter. The light had gorgeous golden, almost yellow, tendrils swirling around it. The color at its core was pure white. As the light hovered in front of me, I could hear a high-pitched ringing sound. I experienced the most profoundly overwhelming, astonishing, indescribable feelings of unconditional love, peace, joy, understanding, and acceptance. The light vanished, and I found myself in a magnificently magical meadow bursting with flowers, grasses, and trees that were so colorful and vibrant that words cannot describe them adequately. The grass appeared to be breathing, and the trees were pulsating, almost as if they had a heartbeat. The aroma was absolutely amazing. I was walking through the meadow, yet I was seemingly 10 or 12 feet off the ground. As I rounded a grouping of huge trees on the edge of the forest, in the distance I could see an otherworldly city about a mile away. It contained clear, glowing buildings and structures of various sizes. I could tell the city was surrounded by a wall about 20 feet tall. I suddenly could see the wall as if it were 5 feet in front of me, despite appearing to be a mile away. The wall was a vibrant, deep maroon color and had marble-like characteristics. As I continued drifting towards this city, I am suddenly in a new environment. I can still sense the lush forest on my left, and I feel that I am still outdoors. However, now I am surrounded on 3 sides by what appeared to be a multitude of black and white TV screens that were slowly drifting past me. As wild as this sounds, each screen appeared to show me a different, meaningful earthly event dating back to my early childhood. I am able to emotionally relive each scenario, somehow seemingly simultaneously. What's more is I am able to genuinely feel the emotions, thoughts, and feelings of whomever I am interacting with in each event, and this is happening all at once. Despite being rather intense, I recall feeling no judgment, shame, or guilt for my actions, despite many of these scenes likely deserving such emotions. It's difficult to pinpoint the duration of this life review. Looking back on it now, it seems the entire process may have only taken 1 to 2 minutes. Yet some aspects of this review led me to believe it may have taken considerably longer. Suddenly, the TV screens are gone, and I'm standing along the maroon wall, directly outside this mystical city. Approximately 30 feet to my right, I see an iridescent gate along the maroon wall. It is cracked and slightly open. As I look to my left, I see my beloved grandma standing before me. She passed away in the year 2000 at the age of 92. Here, she was young, maybe 30 to 35 years old. Despite her being in her latter 70s when I was born, and my never seeing any youthful photos of her, I immediately knew it was her. She was predominantly in humanoid form, but she had a glowing aura around her upper body. Her lower body was enshrouded in a mist or fog. She spoke to me. I telepathically heard her say, "What are you doing here, boy? It's not time for you to come back." I felt myself immediately sucked back into my body through the top of my head, and accompanied by a loud pop. I felt immensely heavy and confined. I could hardly see past a fogged-up oxygen mask covering much of my face. My limbs were being held down firmly, and I heard a female voice shout, "We got him!" I immediately understood what had happened. I excitedly shared my experience with every nurse and doctor who entered my recovery room over the next 3 hours. None seemed to share my enthusiasm for what had happened. My 80-year-old mom arrived to retrieve me from the surgery center. I emphatically described what had happened. I was greeted with a, "Try not to share this with anyone, or they'll think you've completely lost it." After that, I haven't shared my experience until discovering this forum, for which I'm eternally grateful for. I still have the lipoma on my back and have decided I can live with it for now. This experience has profoundly impacted me. I have struggled over the years with severe depression and an irrational, intense fear of death. I no longer experience either. I live every day to the fullest and take insane risks now. I tell everyone I meet that I love them and do good deeds all day long. I can look anyone directly in the eye and share with them that there is a loving God. There is a magnificent heaven where you will be reunited with your deceased loved ones, and that is 100% guaranteed.